back, all you Fabricans and Fleshbags, to the not funny show reviews. I am Jen Thépuppét, your resident fabricant and comment extraordinaire on all things pop culture. And today, I'm going to be reviewing the very first episode of Sweet Tooth, coming to you from Netflix, and of course it is based on the Jeff Lemire comic of the same name. So, was it good? Was it bad? And should you be watching? Stick around because I have opinions. Sweet Tooth, Episode 1, entitled Out of the Deep Woods. And it takes place in a world where a pandemic, an awful pandemic, the worst pandemic probably seen ever, and especially in modern history, comes and more or less takes out civilization. It's another pandemic / end of the world as we know it sort of story. But also, oddly enough, in this first episode, coupled with an episode of Alaska Homesteaders, or one of those shows you see on Discovery Channel. I kind of looked at it as, imagine if The Stand and The Walking Dead kind of had like this weird little mutant baby that also was part of a deer, that'll make more sense to you in just a moment. But the backdrop really is, a pandemic, and also at the same time an odd, weird new change in human physiology in which all babies are born as hybrids of animals and people. And these two things happen at the same time: this huge pandemic, these hybrid kids, and of course the dissolution of humanity, of human society, into remnants, survival, remnants of survivors and the like. And in that we have a little baby brought into the wilderness to be raised hermit style by his dad. And this this little boy has antlers on his head. He's a little deer boy. And as such, he ends up being raised in isolation by his father, far away from other people, far away from this pandemic. And they sort of live a little secluded life, just away from everything. But things can't just always stay the same like that. And eventually, the outside world does come intruding. And, when that does happen, it's up to Gus, little Gus, to try to figure out what to do with his life. Spoiler, without his dad. Into his life also comes a guy named Tommy Jeppert, aka Big Man, who rather reluctantly becomes his protector and his guide into the real world, from which he has been completely sheltered and has no idea about. And also, he just wants to see his mom. While all that is going on, what's humanity going to do about this this awful virus that has ravaged the world? So it's all, there's a promise that somehow this maybe is all connected to the hybrids and whatnot. So this first episode, without going too deep into exactly what happens, it's a surprisingly charming little show. This first episode, it really does everything that a good first episode is supposed to do. It's very well balanced in its storytelling. It has everything you need. It tells you, you get your exposition about what's actually happening. There's action. There's definitely action going on. There's some kind of WTF moments that are going on in there too. Lots of characters get introduced. There are, the stakes are very plainly on display. All of that good stuff. There's character development even. And there's plenty there to keep you saying, hey, what's the real world really like out there? What's actually going on? Is this all connected? We don't know. It's a mystery. And it's a mystery you actually want to get to know. This is a kind of a slower paced sort of show, but it doesn't really feel like they're just dragging their feet or slow walking you, which is nice. It's nice for a change. I don't like slow walking in shows like this. This is supposed to be, the comic is really more dreary and more, a little more desperate than this. But you know what? There's a real sense of hope and, possibility in this, and this is entirely due to Gus, who doesn't know crap about anything, but still manages to, kind of infect other people with the hope and the optimism. And just so happens that he's unlike other hybrid kids in the fact that he can actually talk. He actually isn't like some wild feral kid, which apparently happens to the hybrid kids. They're abandoned or people poach them, for parts or whatever. It's really weird because they're still people. They're generally mistreated, left to their own devices, hunted down because people think maybe they actually caused the pandemic. It's just all very kind of weirdly inhumane. And even big man Tommy, he's not even immune to that, but somehow Gus does endear himself to him. There are some interesting character moments. One part I particularly like was Gus. He steps off the land, the wilderness, protected by a fence that his father had explicitly told him never leave because he wants him he wants to be safe. And it's very symbolic the fact that he steps over the off out of that fence line into the real world, which is supposedly on fire and all this other stuff according to his dad. And this is the first of the the starting to tear down the fact some of the things that his father's told him about the world for his own good, but really showing him what the world really is like. I do like that the characters by and large are they're not single dimensional, two dimensional. They're actually pretty well fleshed out. There's you can see the motivations. You can see now some people are terrible, some people are not, but for the most part the people that you are introduced to, they're pretty likable people. Even big man, who clearly is a mercenary and has done some pretty awful things just to get on by, and he even justifies himself in saying I had to do what I had to do. But you still end up liking, I ended up liking everybody in this. So overall, before I forget, and you have James Brolin, great as the narrator. It'll be cool if he actually shows up later on as an actual character. But overall, just I really enjoyed what this first episode brought into play. I thought it was really it's very creative. It doesn't seem like it's super high budget. There is some CG obviously in making the hybrid kids look, or it may have even been practical effects. I had the impression that maybe some of those were actually like fake babies, like very hyper realistic fake babies. But they did some really good jobs with what little CG there was. The cinematography was great. Everything looks beautiful. It's very picturesque. Very surreal, in fact. I felt like, in a way, in the wilderness, everything felt just slightly a little unreal, but that also has something to do with the fact that there's a kid with antlers and deer ears on, and he's not alone in the world like that. So overall, really like this first chapter of this story. Thought it was a great introduction. It's not drab, not dreary. It's not depressing as I was expecting it to be because having a little knowledge of the story. And overall, really liked Gus, really liked Big Man, aka Tommy, and I really want to see where this is going. So those are my opinions about the first episode of Sweet Tooth. So what did you guys think about this? Why don't you get down to the comments, let me know what you're thinking about. And of course, you can always hit me up, supernotfunnyshow@gmail.com. or at supernotfunnys1 on Twitter, and I would love to hear from you. We can chop it up, talk about more Sweet Tooth. And hey, are you a member of the Super Not Funny Show family? What? You're not? What are you doing with your life? Get down there, hit that subscribe button, and of course you can hit that notification bell. It'll let you know when we drop new content, and we do that every week. New reviews, new reactions, anything else that floats our pop culture boat, like the Super Not Funny Show Supercast, where me and my friend Lottie, we talk about superheroes in movies, TV, video games, etc. All that good, four-color, that four-color entertainment. It's a fun time. You can come join us. All right, all you Fabricans and Fleshbags, thanks once again for joining me for this review. Come back when I review the second episode of Sweet Tooth, and that should be up pretty dang soon. Until then, I've been Mo Thépuppét, your resident fabricant and comment extraordinaire on all things pop culture. And I'll see you guys on the other side of the thread. Peace.